Welcome back to Reaper Minis TV, everyone. We're going to get right back into the action of our battle report, picking up at the beginning of turn 3. To start off turn 3, the Revan army had their card drawn first, and this seemed like a very good time to use the Razig army's spy ability. The spy ability is something that Crow's Nest Willie has, and what it allows you to do is bury an initiative card or activation card when it comes up. Now, it doesn't let you put it to the bottom of the deck or anything, but what it does is it just puts it one behind the order that it would normally come out. So what we're trying to do here on the Razig side is the Revan card was pulled, we're going to spy to bury it, and then hopefully a Razig card comes up next. Regardless of what card comes up next, whether it's a Razig card or a Revan card, the card that's buried goes right after it. So you run into the possibility of having an enemy card come up twice when you were just trying to get a card of yours to come out so you could mitigate any damage that was about to happen or try to get a jump on your opponent. And that's exactly what happened here. A Revan card came up and it was buried with the spy ability, and then another Revan card came up. So guaranteed there's going to be 2 Revan activations minimum before Mr. Blood and the Razig forces get to go. So what happened on the first activation that the Revan got is the bugbears, the rest of them piled into the skeleton crewmen, and the ones that were already engaged with the skeleton crewmen just kept fighting there, or began fighting there because they moved in their last turn. And the reason they didn't charge into the Bone Marines is because the Marines with their long rifles, they have a bayonet on the end of it that has the pike ability, which allows them to use one of their defensive strikes as a first strike as the attacker is coming in. So in effect, if you charge somebody who has that pike ability, you're giving them an attack before you do. So better to charge them or get into hand-to-hand with them only when you have to or on your terms. So anyway, the bugbears piled in and all sorts of attacks came out because the bugbears have 2 attacks each, and there was a pretty good beatdown going on. By the time the bugbears' attacks were resolved, the top 2 skeleton crewmen towards the top of the screen each suffered 2 hits, 2 wounding hits, and then at the bottom, that guy is up to 4 hits right now. So it's not looking good for them, but they are getting their defensive strikes. And then by the time the defensive strikes and tough rolls were done, there were 3 dead skeleton crewmen and 1 bugbear that took a hit. All of the other strikebacks were misses, and it was just a big piling in of the bugbears onto the skeleton crewmen, and they just got overwhelmed. And then there's no breathing room for the undead pirates because the ogres are going to go next. And Kagunk is already engaged with Mr. Blood, so you can expect he's going to put a beat down on him. And the other ogre that we've got here is going to charge and fight in hand-to-hand with one of our skeleton crewmen, the one that's sort of standing in the water there on his base. So the one that's fighting the regular ogre, he's going to go ahead and parry. And what that allows him to do, and he can only do this because he has a special ability that allows him to parry, but for every one of his melee attacks that he could use as a defensive strike, he can forego that to give his opponent another -1 per attack that he gives up on his attack roll. So the ogre is going to be at -2 to hit for both of his attacks because the skeletal crewman is going to parry with both of his defensive strikes and not get a chance to hit back. The ogre ends up hitting once and missing once, and the parry actually did pay off. It kept the skeleton crewman alive, otherwise he would have taken 2 wounding hits instead of just the 1. So at least some good news there. The good news was short-lived though, because Kagunk just tees off on Mr. Blood, hits him with his mighty special ability, causes 2 wounds. Mr. Blood rolls a 1 on his tough test, so he is destroyed, and the Rezig are really pressing forth their advantage here in hand-to-hand. The next card that comes up is for a Rezig activation, and now one of the soul cannons is going to use its blow-through special ability when it's firing a shot at the female bugbear there and Kagunk. And what the blow-through ability does, it lets you fire in a straight line, and anybody in that line is a potential target. Now, the first one in the line you just shoot at normally, and then after that, anybody in the line you roll to hit with a -1 penalty to your die roll or to the to hit roll, and that's just regardless of how many other models are in the line there. But anybody in the line after the first, you get a penalty to hit. With a roll of 10 for the initial shot at the female bugbear, she is hit and suffers 2 wounds. Kagunk is missed, but then when rolling the tough test for the female bugbear, she passes it, so she only takes the 1, and she's on her last damage track. Rezig goes next, and what they're going to do is Crow's Nest Willie and his Bone Marines are going to have some shooting. 2 of the Bone Marines are going to stay where they are and fire at the female bugbear that's standing right next to them, and Crow's Nest Willie and one of the other Marines are going to move and fire at Kagunk. Now, for Crow's Nest Willie and the other Marine to be able to move and fire their slow fire weapon, the entire troop is going to have to use the broadside ability, so even if they hit, they're only going to cause a single point of damage per hit. And then after several musket shots, the female bugbear got missed twice, Kagunk got hit twice, blew his tough roll, and got laid out dead. Next we had our lone skeletal crewman try to break away from base-to-base contact with the ogre that he's fighting, and to do that you have to make a discipline check, and he missed it, so not only can he not break away, he's also shaken, so he's probably just going to get pounded into dust when it comes around to the ogre's turn. The Bugbear Shaman's going to go next, and after moving up, he's going to cast, or attempt to cast, Domination on the nearest soul cannon. Now what Domination does is, if you're successful, and you have to be within 18 inches, it's a spell that costs 5 magic points, so it depletes him some more, and it can only affect 1 creature in a troop, but the soul cannon is considered, even with the fire, a single creature. Anyway, if you're successful, you immediately take control of the target model, forcing it to take 2 actions, and you decide what it's going to do. So if successful, then the Soul Cannon is going to use the blow-through ability and shoot down the line where Crow's Nest Willie and the other Bone Marine are, the guys that moved up to shoot and kill Kagunk. The casting is successful, the shot is successful, at least partially. It kills one of the Bone Marines or destroys one of the Bone Marines. It does not pass its tough test, and so very nice action of the Revan spellcaster being able to use the Razig heavy weapon against his own guys. And then to finish off the turn, we had the Soul Cannon kind of shake off the dominated effect from the spellcaster. It took aim at the female bugbear. I shouldn't say took aim because it didn't use a focus action, but it leveled the barrel at her, fired at her, and just blew her to smithereens. She failed her tough test and got removed from the board. Okay, everybody, thanks for sticking with us so far through the battle report. We'll see you in next episode where we'll start off turn 4.